Monogamy is the best relationship model. Football is stupid and should be banned. I'm James Sexton. For 25 years, I've been a trial lawyer, arguing both sides of nearly every issue. Now more than ever, we need to learn as a society how to separate the arguer from the argument. We have to learn how to hold two conflicting viewpoints in our head at the same time. This is Sexton versus Sexton. It's time we stop kidding ourselves. Monogamy is a failed experiment, okay? It's a good idea and it fails in practice. It's been failing in practice for thousands of years. And that's the problem. We're just not good at it as a species, and it's time we stop pretending that we are. When something doesn't work and it's been tested for this many years and it's continually failed as a technology, it's time to give it up and try something else. Because otherwise what happens is you start encouraging lying and deception. And that's exactly what's happened when it comes to monogamy. We're bad at it. We've been bad at it for thousands of years. That's why if God allegedly gave us 10 rules, 2 of them had to be, don't sleep with other people you're not married to. Seriously, don't covet your neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not kill only got 1. Why? Because this is so contrary to human nature that it needed to be something that's repeated multiple times. It encourages lying and deception to pretend that we're good as monogamous species. We're simply not. It's contrary to our biology. Novelty is appealing. We all know this, and we're lying to the extent that we claim we don't. Yes, is it possible to stay sexually attracted to someone you've been in a relationship with for an extended period of time, enough that you can perform and maybe even enjoy sex? Sure. Hey, look, sex is like pizza. When it's good, it's great. And when it's bad, it's still pretty good. But you know that when you're hungry for new novel experience, there is nothing better than the feeling you get when you're looking at someone who you have a sexual opportunity with, who is contrary to anyone you've been with before, different than someone you've been with before. You're with a blonde, this person's brunette. You're with a brunette, this person's blonde. Novelty is attractive to us as a species. Let's be honest. Monogamy is an outdated concept. In 1900, the average human lifespan was 32 years old. It's tripled since then. Are you telling me a technology that worked when we died at the age of 32 is going to work in a society where we live to the age of 90, 91, 95? It doesn't make any sense to try to attach ourselves to systems that were designed for a species that basically doesn't exist anymore and that had 1/3 of our current lifespan. Look, our reliance and our connection to monogamy and our holding on to it like it was something that isn't sinking all the time is just creating a society that doesn't leave room for new permutations of relationships. And we're not afraid to change other things in relationships. We're not afraid to look at things and say, hey, this could be done different or this could be done better in a way that doesn't encourage lying, deception, and break everybody's hearts. We could come up with ethical permutations of non-monogamy, whether it's polyamory or whether it's multiple relationships within a lifetime, that we don't consider it a failure when you're sleeping with one person, but in a long-term relationship with another person. We all know there's a difference between the person that you share your day-to-day life with and a person who you have sex with. So why can't we create a permutation of relationship that honors that and says, yes, this is my life partner and these are my sex partners? Monogamy is a failed technology, period. Monogamy is the best relationship model there is. There's absolutely no rational dispute to the contrary. Look, anything we say other than that is us just trying to give into our basest drives and justify behavior that we know is atrocious and bad for ourselves and bad for society. Number one, our biology is structured to support pair bonds, unified pair bonds. That's why it's the optimal relationship model to be in a monogamous relationship. It raises children. It's the perfect atmosphere for children to be raised. Ultimately, a mother, a father, 2 of them brought together both physically and then raising a child. We emerge as creatures half formed from our mothers, and we need the supportive environment of a mother and a father, or at least a monogamous pair bond that sticks around. We know in society when people are not monogamous and people are leaving the family bond, the pair unit, it's bad for kids and they have bad outcomes. It's also supported by nearly every major religion. I mean, certainly every major religion. Think about the fact, how many things in the world do the Pope, the Dalai Lama, Moses, and Osama bin Laden all agree on? And they all agree that monogamy is not only the only relationship model that makes sense, but the only one that has God's seal of approval. And that's not a coincidence. It's because we have known for thousands of years that this is the way that people should be in couples. Look, anything other than this doesn't elevate the highest and noblest traits of man. That's why religion believes that it's such a useful thing for people to engage in. It encourages discipline. It encourages us to not give into our basest drives. And if we gave into our basest drives, it would be a recipe for absolute chaos. Our drives are to be transcended. Yeah, we want to eat chocolate cake 3 meals a day. You know what happens if you do that? You die. You die prematurely, and you die fat and miserable and sick. But the truth is, we know that we can transcend our drives. We're not the lower animals. We're humans, and we have the ability to transcend our basest, lowest nature. And that's what monogamy is about. It's about encouraging our highest and noblest traits as a species. Look, Civilization and Its Discontents by Sigmund Freud talks about this ad infinitum, that if we slept with everyone we wanted to sleep with, chaos would rule the day. And think about the second order effects of that from an epidemiological standpoint with sexually transmitted diseases and pregnancies that would be happening. And again, if we have no permutation of relationships, we have no such thing as fidelity and monogamy, chaos would absolutely rule the day and civilization would crumble. Look, all sex has consequences, but the consequences of monogamous sex, okay, what's the worst thing you can say about it? Is that it causes people to be maybe a little less satisfied, or they might be a little bit bored. Grow up. Sex is a pleasurable, wonderful activity. And the deepest forms of connection are found in monogamy. The deepest emotional bonds with another person and the deepest physical bonds. You get to know each other. You get to know each other's likes and dislikes. And that emotional connection, you can make fun of me all you want, but there's something to be said. There's a difference between sex and making love. And monogamy helps make love. All right, gang, that's what we've got on monogamy. What do you think? Did we miss anything? Put it in the comments if you think we did, or if you think there's any points that either Sexton should have made. Now let's take on another American pastime. Okay, football's a national treasure. If you don't like football, you don't like America. Case closed. Love it or leave it. Think about it. First of all, from an economic standpoint, it is an absolute boom to the American economy. Did you know the NFL generated in 2024 $23 billion? That's more than number 2 and 3 of our sports, Major League Baseball and the NBA combined. $23 billion with a B. So if you don't like American football, you don't like the American economy, folks, because we get rid of football, we ban American football, we're going to crash the stock market and crash the American economy. So I hope that's what you were shooting for. Look, there are safety concerns that people have when it comes to football. I understand, but they can be mitigated. Concussion, we have come miles in concussion prevention. This is something that we've gotten better and better at. We've improved the safety risks. We've improved education and understanding of concussive injury. We now understand that helmets can absolutely, especially the newly designed helmets, are helpful not only with concussion prevention, but also preventing rotational forces that can cause other kinds of damage. We have new technology like Guardian caps that are coming along every time that are mitigating the risks. And again, there's more awareness, and really that's the key. We talk about the masculinity crisis. We talk about how there's a crisis of men and boys. Football can be an answer to that. Do you know how many men who grow up in homes with a single mother without a father present have a deep bond with the coach of their football team? Talk to a man who played football in high school or in college about his relationship with his coach. 99% of them are going to tell you that was one of the deepest, most meaningful relationships they ever had. And was that a guy who was telling them everything they wanted to hear, was sitting and listening to their problems like a therapist? No, it was someone who was hard on them and disciplining them and making them push themselves. But that was a relationship of deep love and affection and value, because for many men, it's the closest thing they're going to have to a father figure. And you want to take that away from them now when we're in the masculinity crisis and we need male role models more than ever? Forget also too all the father-son and father-daughter bonding that happens on Sports Sunday or on Monday Night Football when the whole family's together. Maybe mom makes something to eat. Maybe dad goes out, gets wings. Everybody sits around together and enjoys that time. You want to take that away from people for absolutely no valid reason? Look, football is entertaining. It's a game of skill. It's a game of strategy. People devote their entire lifetimes becoming competent at it, and that's why they're so well compensated. It's a fun game, tailgating, eating wings. I mean, there's nothing better than that. And I mean, at the end of the day, Super Bowl halftime show. You get rid of the Super Bowl halftime show before we can even see Sabrina Carpenter or somebody like that do it? Come on, gang. That's something every single person I know, I don't care if you're gay, straight, male, female, we're all eyes on that TV when the Super Bowl halftime happens. How? It's the only thing in the entire of America where we're tuning in just to watch the commercials. We just want to see what amazing new commercials are going to be, because football is as American as apple pie, and football is a national treasure. All All right, first of all, if you care about human beings at all, football should be banned because it's an unreasonably violent sport that by its very definition, no matter how many pads and helmets you put on people, causes massive amounts of injury to the people who play it. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, also known as CTE, some research has shown that 99% of former NFL players suffer from it. You can only find out after they're dead and you dissect their brain. So think about what we're doing to people that we purport to actually care about and cheer for on Sunday when they're actually going out there and damaging themselves permanently and irreparably. And that's just the head injuries. I mean, high school players age 14 to 18 have the highest rate of concussion and traumatic brain injury of all players of football. So think about that. That's our youth. That's people ages 14 to 18. It's an unreasonable risk of injury. 71% of injuries occur player-to-player contact in American football. It is an unbelievably, unreasonably unsafe sport for people to engage in. And what do we get out of it? What's the reason why we do it? Well, it's a preposterously silly game. Seriously, think about it. Watch professional football. And although there's some diehard fans out there that are going to say, oh, it's a game of strategy and there's so much going on in there, the reality is it's a preposterously silly game. Everybody lines up and then almost nothing happens and they all fall down. And if you're sitting so far away that all you basically see is just a bunch of people all fall down. And what do we get out of this? Is anyone having fun? It's freezing cold during football season. And you're sitting outside in the freezing cold from a distance watching a bunch of men line up and then all fall down, and then line up and then all fall down, and then throw balls and hardly ever catch them. It's an absolutely preposterous. And again, in exchange for what? Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, brain concussions, injuries to young children, encouraging performance-enhancing drugs and steroid use. Is anyone really having fun? You know, here's a secret, guys. You can actually drink beer and eat wings in your own home, and it's warmer, and it's nicer in there, and you can watch other interesting things that don't cause people to be paralyzed or forget their mother's name. And by the way, I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. It's kind of the gayest sport that exists, right? I mean, come on. It's all these, I mean, everyone I know who's like a he-man, who's like, oh, I'm a football fan. I love football. Football is the most masculine sport. Really? Really? A large group of predominantly black men wearing super tight pants, like so tight you can see what religion they are. And you basically just, you're watching them grab each other and then what's the tight end doing? You're paying so much attention to a bunch of male bodies. Guys, do you recognize this is a bit of a latency thing you've got going on here? Look, I understand it's been part of our society for a really long time. There was a time where people thought lacrosse was an interesting sport. There was a time where people thought that shuffleboard was an interesting sport. But football is stupid and it should be banned. Period. Hey gang, thanks for spending some time with us today. Look, we need to fight ideas, not people. And we need to realize that you can separate the argument from the person who's making the argument. Just because someone disagrees with you, it doesn't mean they're an evil person. They might just have a differing viewpoint. And that's the purpose of Sexton versus Sexton. If you have a show idea for us, if you have a topic you want us to take on both sides of, send it to submissions@sextonshow.com. And remember to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and we look forward to seeing you again next time on Sexton versus Sexton.